Alright, so Arena Breakout Infinite Season 2 Crimson Edge Playtest Beta, whatever you want to call it. What I'm going to do for this video is I'm going to front load the summary, and then you guys can go through and watch the rest of the video if you want, but this will basically give you the too long, didn't watch, don't want to spend all my time, so here it is. I put a few hours into the playtest. Actually, I just picked it up and started playing it for the first time yesterday. So there's a lot of controversy around the focal point, the kill feed, the ping system. Honestly, I would have more issue with all of those things if the game was really trying to be like a hardcore milsim type game like Escape from Tarkov, but to be honest, it never really felt that way for me even from the beginning. And the whole thing with the focal point is that there's so many monitors now or software that you could use that if you really wanted to put the dot on your screen, you could just do it anyway. So it kind of just evens the playing field for people that just want it as a setting. And if it really bothers you that much, you personally can just turn it off. You know, it's not like it gives you an advantage with, you know, it makes your hip fire like even more accurate. It does in the sense that you have the focal point, but if you play enough and you kind of know where your, you know, center, you know, focal point is, then you don't really need it anyway. So, is it a make or break for me? No. I do think they should nerf hipfire in general to where you really should have to build your gun to make it better at hip firing as opposed to the hip firing just being like pretty accurate even with like a standard gun without anything on it. As far as the ping system, I'm alright with being able to ping. It's, you know, it's instead of opening the map and putting a marker, you ping and it's faster and easier. Again, if the game was trying to be, you know, Escape from Tarkov and be super hardcore milsim, then yeah, I'd have a problem with it, but you already have like the overmap that you can mark, you know, like I said, it's not, to me, really feeling like they're trying to be like that ultra hardcore milsim game, so it is what it is. The kill feed, kind of the same thing. One thing that I would like to see, though, is that where it tells you the total of eliminations that you have, you shouldn't get any kind of confirmed elimination unless you, say, go up and, like, actually check the dog tag. And then it'll tell you, like, oh, yes, you eliminated this player for sure. I think that would kind of make it even to where it's not just like, oh, you think you killed the guy with the grenade, or you think you hit him with that shot because you saw him drop down, but you're not 100% sure, but now, like, the kill feed elimination thing is telling you that, so yeah, that'd be a good change on that one, just so it is a little bit harder for you to, you know, confirm whether or not you did actually kill somebody. But from what I heard, I thought they already were saying that they weren't, you know, going forward with the kill feed thing, so that may not even be an issue. Overall, I do like the change to farm with the expansion. It gives you more maneuverability, more cover when you're trying to move up to like the motel area, and you know, obviously just expands the map a little bit. I do like the little container system that they put in there to where you can put some of your loot in to have it extracted out, as long as you've killed an operator, and you can only use them one time. So once you use one of them and you put stuff in it, you can't just keep going around and like dropping stuff in. It's like a one use, you put the stuff in there, once the stuff's in there, it's done, you can't access any more of the containers. So I think that's good because for the guys that are going around and hunting the players and things like that, and you're just like stuffed to the brim, it'll let you kind of offload some of that stuff. and it also doesn't allow people who are just riding around and, you know, sucking up loot to just go to one of those boxes and be like, alright, let me drop this, you know, red in here that I found, because you have to actually kill an operator. And it does help the people who are going around and doing that, like, PvP side of it, and they get a red or something, but let's say they don't have the expanded secure case to fit it, so it's like sitting in their backpack. Well, now they have a thing that they can go to and stuff it in there, and they don't have to worry so much about, you know, oh, I went through and I killed all these people and I have all this stuff, but then I get, like, ratted at an extraction or something like that, and I've lost everything that I, you know, did, even though you did, like, 90% of the work with wiping the map, you know. So I think overall, also with the loot value thing, I like that you can see that now. When you're in your inventory, it'll tell you how much, you know, you're actually worth at that point in time in the raid, which I don't think they had that, and Delta Force had it, still has it, but I think they're just adding that in now, if I remember correctly. So I think overall the new season is going to be nice. They're making some fairly decent changes. Some of them, I could take them or leave them, but for me, they're not really ultimately going to, you know, make or break my experience in the game. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this summary, but again, if you made it to this point in the video, I appreciate it if you drop that like and hit that subscription button. And then hopefully you do watch the rest of this video, but if not, this was like the too long, didn't want to watch the rest breakdown of what I'm going to talk about in the rest of the video. So there were a couple of things that I missed in my initial recording of the Crimson Edge update playtest. So obviously they did add new weapons. You have the AUG, that's chambered in 5.56, the SSG 550, which is also 5.56. You have the G3, which is 7.62, the PCC9, which is 9x19, the T79 Micro SMG, that's 7.62x25, MK14 Marksman Rifle, that apparently wasn't supposed to be coming to the PC version, but then they added it anyway. At least it's in there right now, so that is the 7.62x51, and I believe that's the one that shoots the red ammo. So, fun times. The ML lever action, that's the same ammo as the Desert Eagle, so 44. They are adding leaderboards with you being able to see, like, on a global scale, and you can compare yourself to your friends and all that stuff. There's a trophy room, so you can put weapons on display. There's a display case for, like, your collectibles. The dummy that's in there, which is like the armor display, and then you have the dog tag display as well. So there's new rank rewards. Obviously, they added a mission tab to the main screen, so you can get to the missions, I guess, easier and see the breakdown better. You can now manually refresh. Is it Deki? I think it's 3 times a day. Deki, however you say it. So that's nice. I think it has a 1 hour cooldown between each refresh, something like that. And then they added some more settings that you can mess with, especially on the graphics side, so you can drop them down to, there's like a basic setting now that the game looks like crap, but if you have like a lower end PC, it'll help with performance on that. But just wanted to do a quick little amendment there, because there were some things that I missed because I was just trying to hit the hot topic stuff. And then the biggest thing is that the devs did confirm that the kill cam, or not kill cam, but the kill feed is not coming in the update, and sprinting while having crippled legs is also not coming. So those two will not be making it into the final release of the new season. Alright, so Arena Breakout. New season. Playtest. Crimson Edge, I think, is what it's going to be called, based off of the playtest. Overall, I think most of the changes are positive. Or I'm kind of, neutral. So, as I was saying in the summary at the beginning of the video, a lot of the changes, they're not really going to make or break whether, I think the experience is going to suffer terribly. The biggest one for me is probably the focal point thing. It would be nice if there wasn't so many other options for people to just enable a dot on their screen to kind of tell them, where they're aiming without using a crosshair. But seeing as how that's so readily available to most people, them adding it as a setting, I think, is just evening the playing field out and making it accessible to everyone. So let's say you didn't have a monitor that you could put a focal point or a crosshair, or you weren't using a third-party software or something to do it. But if you're somebody who's playing the game on a regular basis, and you play a lot of first-person shooters and that, you should already have a pretty good idea of where your focal point is and where you're aiming, even when you're not, aim down sights or using a crosshair, So, and even for me, I'm not ultra sweat lord sink hours upon hours every day into playing a first-person shooter. I'm not out there doing aim training and stuff like that, so I'm still able to get a general idea of where I'm shooting, hipfire wise. Now, is it going to be as accurate as using that focal point? Of course not. So yes, will it give a more consistent advantage using it when you're hip firing? Yes, because you can see exactly where that dot is. Is it going to be something huge other than with the jiggle peeking? That's my main concern, really, is the jiggle peek, because you will know exactly where you're shooting on that quick peek, and it's going to make that a little bit of a pain to deal with. But overall, is it really going to kill the experience for me or ruin the game? No, because there's probably a ton of people out there that are using that focal point already, so they're giving access to everybody. If it really bothers you and you don't want to use it, like myself, I turned it on to see how it was, but after one or two raids, I turned it off because I'm I really don't need it. So that's probably the biggest one that most people are kind of on the the differing of opinion side. The ping system and the kill feed, being able to ping without having to open the map and mark somebody and stuff like that. Do I really care so much? No. Because again, to me, Arena Breakout Infinite wasn't really trying to be a hardcore extraction shooter from the very beginning anyway. It's an extraction shooter that has some mil-sim aspects to it, but it's always been a little bit more on the arcadey side as opposed to what Escape from Tarkov is. Same thing with, Delta Force. I used to play a lot of that. And if you were going in there thinking that this is going to be mil-sim, ultra realistic, it's not. You've got abilities that you use and all that stuff. Now, obviously, Arena Breakout, you don't have, the ability side of it, but you can do, crazy, running, jumping things and stuff like that, then, you know, if you're really trying to be hardcore, you wouldn't be able to do that stuff. And even Tarkov has the ability, you know, you can do that stuff, especially once you level, like, your strength and all that up to a certain, you know, level. So it's like, you know, is a ping thing going to make it like, oh my god, this is like Call of Duty now? No, not for me. I mean, for some people, maybe, but me personally, no. Same thing with, like, the kill feed. Now, I might be wrong on this, but I thought I was reading or hearing that they decided that they weren't going forward with the kill feed. I might be wrong on that, but if they are, what I would suggest doing on the kill feed side is that instead of having the kill feed, you should, like, now where it shows the total loot that you have, like loot value on you in game, and then it has total eliminations next to it. My suggestion would be the only way that you confirm that you've killed somebody is by checking the dog tag. And then it'll keep like a tally of like, oh, yep, you eliminated this one. Or if you're in a team, obviously, then whoever checks the dog tag, it will basically tally it up for that person. So it's like, oh, I'm playing with my buddy Banana. Alright, I checked the dog tag, he got the kill, now it shows that he has an elimination. Because we're on the same team. So obviously you'd be like passing the information on to your teammate that he has a confirmed kill. So if they're doing the kill feed thing and that stays in, instead of having a kill feed, I think with that total eliminations thing, and then just tallying that up that way, would probably be a better way, so it's not like something popping up on the screen or whatever, like, oh yeah, like, this person killed this person. And obviously that's only being shown to your team. It's not being broadcasted globally. So it's not like it's an actual kill feed like in Call of Duty or Apex where everyone's seeing everyone that's dying. But I get it. Immersion, stuff like that, yeah. That one, if they keep it, they should tweak it and make some changes to it. But overall, changes on that end aren't too crazy for me. The expansion to farm is nice because I feel like that gives you more room to maneuver. You've got more cover when you're trying to move across that like wide open field space, because you have more room on the left and the right, which hopefully that also kind of opens up some new spawn areas potentially, so you're not all kind of like spawning necessarily like right across from each other, right in front of each other, right behind each other. But obviously farm is still a smaller map, so you're still going to be able to like just sprint and be running into people no matter what. But at least it gives you a little bit more room, a little bit more cover. You know, the addition of the extraction container things that you can deposit stuff into if you kill an operator is nice because, one, you can only use it if you kill somebody. So it's not like you can just ride around the map and take, you know, the most valuable stuff that you have and shove it in there and be like, alright, no matter what happens, we're good to go. You still have to engage at some point to kill somebody to be able to use that container. So it helps out the guys that are actually going around and like hunting lobby and stuff like that to, once you get to that super ultra heavy side of it, you might be able to offload a few things to help out with that. Or at least you know that if, let's say, you wipe the entire lobby, or you think you wipe the entire lobby, and then you get ratted at an extract or something like that, at least you were able to offload some things so that it wasn't a complete waste of time, even though, you know, you did 90% of the work, and then somebody that decides to just sit in a spot for 20 minutes, you know, gets the all the rewards for basically doing nothing other than being a rat. So that I do like, and it kind of makes it nice for like maybe some like the more casual players, to give them more opportunity to actually get some stuff off of the map. and not be so afraid to engage in fights, because everyone always looks at this stuff, and this is what drives me crazy. From like, you know, they go in and they take the Ultra Sweatlord streamer opinion of like the guys that are able to sit down and play the game for like 6 to 8 hours every single day. It's their job, that's what they do, you know, and they're like, you know, their word is, you know, the Bible, and everything should be balanced around, like, the Ultra Sweatlord. I don't necessarily think that that's really good in most cases, because they're, like, the top, you know, what, like, 2 or 3% of people that play the game. So you start balancing everything around what, you know, the people who are able to play the game every day for hours, and, you know, they're just extremely good at the game because the time that they're able to put into it. Yeah, it may ruin some things for the, you know, more casual average player who doesn't have all that time. So that's why I try to take into account, because I used to be in that mindset too, of like, I wanted everything to be like super hardcore, only cater to the ones that are able to be like the grindy, you know, sit down and play all day every day. But really, in a lot of cases, it doesn't always work out well for the overall longevity of the game and the gaming, you know, community. Because the reality of it is that most people are only able to put maybe a couple hours in a day for gaming, or maybe a couple hours a week. You know, so obviously you don't want to balance everything for the ultra casual either, because then it's going to suffer on that side. But there has to be a good balance. So certain changes, I think, you know, the hardcore community of the game probably won't like them, but for the overall health of the game, it's probably better to a certain extent. So yeah, I think the changes that they're making are, you know, fairly positive. You know, the expansion of farm. Yeah, obviously I think they're gonna have some different, like the Arsenal game mode, which is basically like a gun game. So that's another fun little thing. You know, if they keep the what is it, the Spec Ops mode or whatever, to where it's like you can bring in a certain amount of gear at a certain value, and then you get to keep that gear when you die and stuff. I think that is also good for the game. So hopefully they carry some of this stuff over into the next season, because those, I think, are good changes. It keeps people who are more casual playing the game, because they don't feel like they're going broke and they can ever do anything once they've lost all of their stuff, other than reset their account or make a new account or whatever that looks like. So overall, I think they're moving in a good direction now. Hopefully they don't go too crazy with what they're doing, I guess, on the mobile side, where they have like the dolphin diving stuff coming in and things like that, because then I think you're going to hit a point where it's like, now it's more of like an arcadey type shooter with extraction elements, as opposed to being an actual extraction shooter. So hopefully they don't, you know, they kind of balance it out for like the PC version and stuff like that, so they don't go too crazy with some of the stuff they're doing on the mobile side. But overall, I think a lot of the disdain for some of this stuff that's coming in the next season is probably a little bit of an overreaction. Do I think they need to really take a look at hipfire and the accuracy and do some balancing on that end, to where the hipfire isn't going to be super accurate even on like a base level gun without making any kind of modifications? Yes, they definitely need to take a look at hipfire and kind of, you know, make it to where it's not very accurate unless you're fairly close to somebody. You know, obviously you shouldn't be standing right in front of somebody hip firing, and out of a 30 round magazine you hit them like 3 times. Like that's crazy, because it's going to be more accurate than that. But, you know, somebody who's further away, like probably like, you know, I would say somewhere in like the you know, 75 meters or so. Like, if you're hip firing, you shouldn't be like probably super accurate, you know. Obviously it's a video game, so you gotta take that into account, but yeah, it's like there has to be some kind of balancing around hip fire, just so with that focal point, even if you have it, it's not going to be like, oh, just because the dot is here, your hip fire is going here. You know, they have to have some kind of balancing on that end, and I think that'd be good overall for the game anyway. But with that being said, I'm going to cut the video here because it's almost the 23-minute mark. And if you guys did like the video and you made it this far, I appreciate you. Thank you for watching. And if you could do me a solid and hit that like and subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it because it helps me out. But enjoy the rest of your day. But yeah, so happy hunting, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace!